My name is Uche. I'm originally from Nigeria, but I stay in Dallas, Texas. I am doing a Ph.D. program at Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. My research focuses on the intersection between religion, rhetoric, and terrorism across sub-Saharan West Africa, and it is hosted by the English department in Southern Methodist University, Dallas. I feel that the articulation of the diasporic identity to a very large extent is replete with different kinds of violence, which traces from the time of slavery even to contemporary time. I strongly believe that violence needs to be extricated before we begin to negotiate the topic of how the diaspora can contribute to the development of continental Africa today. And if we look at things like foreign remittance, the foreign remittance of different African countries actually toppled the annual revenue of some of those countries. So what you see is that the diaspora can no longer be ignored. They constitute a major part of even continental Africa, and before we can begin to aggregate their contribution to the continent, we need to define them first. And I believe that the definition of the African diaspora, particularly today, is replete with lots of different kinds of violence. That's why I presented on that topic. Yes, so I gave a number actually that as of 2017, Nigeria had inducted about 75,000 medical doctors into the system, and out of that number, what we have practicing in Nigeria today is less than 40,000. Of course, the number has grown, but out of it, what we have practicing in Nigeria at the moment has reduced drastically. It's less than 40%. So what you see is a strategic, consistent brain drain where Africans, young Nigerians, for instance, would move abroad and they would never come back. And I believe that is a disadvantage to not just Nigeria as a nation, but also to Africa. Because if Africa must develop, those who will drive the change are the people. And if the people, particularly the best of Africans, all migrate, imagine what will be left. Nigeria has needs of over 200 medical doctors at the moment because it has a total population of over 200 million people. That's like 2/3 of the United States population. And only 34 or 35,000 medical doctors are the ones catering to this vast number of people. So it's actually quite disheartening. So my presentation is calling on those young people. I'm not discouraging them from traveling out, no. My presentation is rather calling on them to also look back after traveling out, because that's the way we can develop the continent. I agree completely with you. On the first part, I think that religious extremism and terrorism, the social fragility that those two things create, they contribute in a very serious way to the immigration of young people from Africa, from Nigeria, to other parts of the world. However, we need to now begin to ask ourselves, do we want the next generation to still be born fighting the same wars that we are fighting today? No. So our generation needs to intervene. We need to contribute in a way or the other to what currently exists so that the next generation will have something to work with. This is my point. The political freedom we enjoy today across different parts of Africa was birthed through the sweat and blood of those that came before us. Now, the kind of society that those who will come after us will enjoy will be a consequence of the efforts we make today. So my point is that these young people can travel quite all right, but after traveling they should come back, because that's the only way we can develop. And you're right, Nigeria is considered the biggest economy in Africa, but then when we assess Nigeria, we shouldn't assess it as compared to other African countries. As I mentioned, Nigeria has a total population of over 200 million. That's more than 10 times the size of several African countries. We should rather assess Nigeria, a country like Nigeria, against the backdrop of its potential. What is it doing now as compared to what it has the potential of achieving? Nigeria, as of 2021, had about 37 billion barrels of crude oil buried underneath her soil. That's the kind of country I'm talking about. Nigeria has over 50 million hectares of arable farmland. That is the country I'm talking about. So the question is, how do we translate that potential to productivity? And that's why I'm calling on diasporic Nigerians, particularly with the kind of experiences we gain in the diaspora, to be able to come back, not just Nigerians, but Africans across different countries. Well, I do actually. I know that I will come back to Africa, and the reason I know that is because currently, by 21st and 22nd of this month, we will be organizing a policy summit in the southeastern part of Nigeria. Last year, we organized a teachers boot camp. I came back. This year, I'm back again. And next year, I hope to be back until I graduate, and then I will come back. The reason is not because the truth is that living in a place like America or in the UK or Canada or other global north countries, it's very attractive. It's almost seductive to live in those places with the kind of comfort they provide you. You earn more, you enjoy better amenities, better health care. But then the question is, how do we democratize that experience such that it will no longer be the exclusive reserve of the few of us who are able to leave the continent, but it will now become the daily experiences of the vast majority of Africans who also live within the continent. My vision is that Africans traveling abroad should become a choice. It shouldn't be a matter of social compulsion. It should be a choice. That's the idea. The literature professor that we are honoring, Professor Ntonfo, I believe had every opportunity not to live in Africa, not to even contribute to Africa, but he chose to contribute. Now that is the path I want to tow, and that is why I'm here, because I sincerely honor anyone who, after having experienced the kind of luxury that you enjoy abroad, still decides to come back and contribute to Africa. It takes a lot of courage to do that, and for him to have done that, I sincerely have nothing but respect for him. That's why I'm here, to honor him. Thank you.